Taylor Swift has been front and center stage ever since she hit country airwaves with her hit Tim McGraw. Recently, she has created her own effect on everything she touches, from personal and business dealings to a very noticeable impact on regional economies when her Eras tour hits cities, and even the NFL with her newfound love, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. Today, I welcome back Alan Lewis of the Council for Relationships to talk about the entire Taylor Swift phenomenon and how it is affecting everything. Now, let's get to business. Welcome back, Alan Lewis from the Council for Relationships. We are going to talk everything Taylor Swift today, from relationships to business. This girl is taking the world by storm, as if she hasn't already. Over, 15 years, I think it's been?
Yeah, I'm so surprised that it's been that long. Somebody actually said, like, oh, it's been this many years. I'm like, oh, wow. I feel like it's just been recent.
Since Tim
but
McGraw,
no,
yeah.
Right. We all remember Tim McGraw. It's always, it's close to our hearts, I think.
That's what kicked it all off in country music. So we're going to talk about all of that. And for people listening, Alan is decked out in his Taylor Swift Eras t-shirt. Did you go to the concert?
I have tickets for Toronto 2024.
Oh my gosh, yes. And did you go to see the movie yet, or see the concert?
I did. I had like a full day of work, and then I was like, all right, let's shift gears. Let's get into, concert mode. It was really great. And it was really cool to see like parents and kids there. And like, there were people dancing around. It was a really different experience. I know some people are a little bit more like, oh, we need to sit in our seat and watch the movie. But it was really cool to see like siblings dancing with each other and like just having fun. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. And you even have the 1989 background. That doesn't come out until what, December though?
No, I think that it's coming out in a few weeks, actually. So,
okay.
I know I don't have the actual date. I know that was like poor of me to not really understand like the date. But I think it's just because 1989 is a great album, but also Love is my favorite song that Taylor Swift has done, and it already has its own Taylor's version. So I'm like, I got what I need. Whatever happens, it's a big surprise to me.
But I think everybody's excited to get the entire album of Taylor's version. And that's part of what we're going to be talking a little bit later. But why do you think the Taylor Swift Eras tour has brought about this huge heightened sense of inclusion and everything with fans lately?
I think it really is the fact, because it's been such a longer career that she's had. So I think it is the fact that it spans different ages, different stages of life. Like I said, there are parents who are fans of Taylor Swift who are then bringing their kids, and now their kids are fans. They're all singing the songs. They're all, like going to the movies, seeing the concert. So I really think it is the fact that the music really does span different ages. I also think that it's the fact that the music spans, there's something for, everyone. There are happy songs. There are songs about relationships. There are songs about life events with, some of those songs that she's done about like illness and being able to overcome that. Songs about getting justice, which I think is something that a lot of folks are, maybe they're looking for, but maybe they're not going to be getting. So hearing somebody singing about it and how she got revenge or whatever it might be is really empowering. So I think no matter what you're going through, I think it allows you to have some content that you can really resonate with. So I think that's why it's just getting bigger and bigger, because it relates to so many different people.
Well, you just brought up these songs about getting revenge and stuff like that. And Taylor is known for going through numerous highly public disagreements in entertainment radio. We heard all about that with the DJ that touched her inappropriately, and she went after them. And she went after Scooter Braun with this whole deal with her record as to why we're having this new version of her music. Do you think this like new age, real life Wonder Woman energy with her, for, like you said, with people that may not get the justice that she can get?
Yeah, and because I think that we always hear stories about people who, something bad happens, they and nothing really happens. They don't get the justice. The person kind of just goes on with their life, and they're just kind of expected to just deal with it or figure out like what they need to do. But I think seeing somebody using their platform that is able to say like, yes, I've been wronged in this way. Yes, many people have been wronged in this way, and it's not okay. And I'm not going to just sit by and take it. For Scoot, I know Scooter Braun, but for Scoot, the situation is complex, I'm sure. But like, I think that we have to be realizing that at the bare minimum, there were these personal items, the songs that she'd written that she wanted to own, that she could own because she had the money to pay for them, but they were taken away from her, and they were given to Scoot. And then they were then leveraged against her of, okay, you can have them, but only if we get more of your creative energy. So I think that it really speaks to people who have been in a career, been in a position where something that they've made was then given to somebody else, or their praise was given to somebody else, and there was really no way of them getting any of it back or any of the recognition back. So seeing somebody being able to reclaim that and say, you know what, I'm not going to just stay this is not all right, this is not okay, I'm going to do something about it. It really resonates with people, because it's like, if I can't do it, at least somebody else is doing it, or maybe it's giving me the empowerment to do it for myself.
With her career being in music, but do you think it actually empowers women in general in their own careers to actually stand up and say, I want this, I deserve it, I've worked for it, like to have a little bit more of a voice than they used to have?
Absolutely. I think that that's the big thing, because I think that it is empowering women, and I also think it's empowering generations, because I think that just depending on the generation that you grew up in, it's the messaging. So for some generations it was oh, you just work, you don't make any waves, you just figure it out, shut up if something happens to you, don't say anything. So I think not only is it empowering women who have been told that consistently throughout the years, it's also empowering generations to say like, wait a minute, no, I don't have to shut up if something wrong has happened to me. I don't have to just take it. I can advocate for myself and do it in a way that feels good to me and also gets me what I need or what I want. So I think it really does empower a lot of different folks in a lot of different ways. And I don't know if she set out to do that. Maybe it's just that she was living her life, but it really is showing waves of this person has a platform, and now that trickles down into people saying, oh, I can do this in my own life as well.
Coming from the therapist aspect and your background with a little bit of psychology and everything like that, we now have, I think there's 6 universities in the United States, and now also the University of Ghent, Belgium, that are actually incorporating psychological courses that go through Taylor Swift's songbook and the lyrics and what we were just talking about, like getting revenge and being empowered, or relationships that don't work out. How do you feel as a therapist that this is actually coursework now?
Well, and it's so funny because I think that it relates to psychology, and I think that it relates to higher education in general, because I think that there always is a curiosity that leads a therapist, just like there's always a curiosity that leads folks in higher education. There's always a wanting to understand the function of something or the reason for something. And in this case, it's understanding the creative process of Taylor, or the impact of the song lyrics, or just the background of how this person is impacting society. So it makes sense to me that all of these other things are coming out, because if you are in a field where there is curiosity that kind of leads you, it would make sense that that would kind of lead the content that you're pursuing. I'm sure that if social media had been a big deal, or like we would have the internet when the Beatles were taking the world by storm, we would probably have courses on the Beatles, and I'm sure we have courses on the Beatles. I mean, we have a platform that you can learn Elvish and Dothraki from Game of Thrones in Lord of the Rings. So I think that we would have seen this for any point of history if social media had been a thing. But I think the fact that everything is so in your face, there is a lot of buzz, there's a lot of curiosity. It only makes sense that, these universities would start putting out some of this content. And I think that we'll see a lot more. And if not, at least Taylor Swift being introduced into a lot of curriculums as something that has impacted society, whether that be musically, whether that be you know, society as a whole. I think that we're going to see it either way.
Yeah, there have been a couple, Beyonce, a couple other
Mm-hmm.
rappers, and how their impact has changed society a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
psychologically. And like I said, I mean, it is now growing. The list
Mm-hmm.
started out at just the University of Arizona. Now it's at University of Texas, Austin, New York University, Stanford,
Mm-hmm.
Bingham, Berklee College of Music, which, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Rice University and University of Ghent, Belgium, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure once they grasp a hold of it in Europe, they're probably going to be expanding also.
Yeah, and I think that that's the thing, because I think that you had mentioned something that is really important. I think that whenever it comes down to, it's always the fact that this person is impacting society, and that's it. You had mentioned Beyonce, and I really wanted to make sure that I had like highlighted this of like Beyonce and Taylor Swift are not in a competition, and I think that that's the thing that everybody is always highlighting. Like, oh well, Beyonce did this, Taylor Swift did this. They are not worried about it, and I think that that's why, like, when it comes down to like how this person has impacted society, it's not Taylor Swift or Beyonce, it's Taylor Swift and Beyonce, or Taylor Swift and whoever. So I think that that's the important thing to say, of like, there is a curiosity here, and the curiosity doesn't have to be for one or the other. It can be for both, it can be for all. And I think that you're going to see that there are going to be courses about Beyonce, courses about Taylor Swift, courses in powerful women in media, whatever it might be. But I think that sometimes there is this narrowing when it comes to women specifically, of it has to be either or. When in reality, it's like, no, it has to be both, and you don't have to choose one, because both are impacting society in a way that is profound and needs to be addressed.
Well, they're both two totally different artists, also with two totally different sounds. So you can like
Mm-hmm.
both.
Yeah, and it's that's why I think it's just so crazy whenever anybody's like, well, either Beyonce or Taylor Swift, and it's like, or both. I mean, both of them are making more money than I will ever see.
Mhm.
So why am I going to disregard one over the other? I can listen to both. I have the capacity. It's fine. Just like with the whole, I know we're going to get into it, but like, you know, is Travis Kelce bigger than Taylor Swift, or both? They're both making many dollars. Does it have to be either or?
Well, let's get on that subject now, because that's a big
Mm-hmm.
issue between
Mm-hmm.
couples now. And you'll have maybe one partner is very into football, one partner is more
Mm-hmm.
into the music aspect, and it literally will start arguments.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think. Well, I mean, let's give credit where credit is due. Both Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift have sold out international venues. Oh, I guess Taylor Swift has only done that. I'm just kidding. But but really, I think that it's like, because people will get upset about like the NFL covering Taylor Swift at a game or playing Taylor Swift or whatever it might be. I think that folks forget that for the NFL there is a business component, and it is about revenue. So if Taylor Swift generates views, they're going to use that to get revenue and get views. So, and they would be dumb not to. I mean, if there is somebody who has a high status that has a lot of viewing and is somebody who's generating a lot of talk, why wouldn't they highlight this person? I think that for them, it's going to be, at what point does it transition from, oh, this is fun that you're highlighting this person, to, okay, now you're doing too much and it's turning us off. For football fans, I'm sure that that's a lower threshold. But as a society, I think it's going to be like, at some point, we're going to say, okay, NFL, calm it down. And that's when they know that their media team has really like overstepped. So that's something for the NFL. I think that the other thing is that for fans, because when I talk to football fans, they're very much like, well, it's taking away from the game, it's taking away from this. I just want to be mindful that you need to be grounded in why you're doing this activity, any activity really, why you're watching Taylor Swift, why are you watching this football game. It's really rooted in, oh, I like football, so that's why I watch it. Oh, I really like Taylor's music, so that's why I listen to her. As long as you're getting from the experience what you want from it, and you're in the moment and you're having fun and it's what you want, don't let other people take emotional energy that they don't deserve from you. Oh, they're playing a Taylor Swift song. Oh, I'm mad about it. I should be mad about it. It's taking away. Or am I really just saying, yes, they're playing a Taylor Swift song, but I'm here for the music. I'm here for the football. I'm here to watch. I'm here to watch my team. As long as I'm getting that, why do I have to care if they're playing Taylor Swift music? So really just being mindful of grounding yourself and being in the moment, and also, getting what you want out of the experience. The other thing I'll say too is, like, for anybody, whether it's Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, whatever it is, these are parasocial relationships. Unless you know this person in person, live, you've had conversations with them, they're in your life regularly, they do not think about you as much as you might think about them. So whether it's, oh, well, Travis Kelce is more important than Taylor Swift, I don't think that they're asking themselves those questions. So I don't think that you have to raise a banner for Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce, because once again, these are not real relationships. Don't exert too much emotional energy into it. But if you're having like a casual joke of like, oh, Taylor's bigger, ha ha ha, that's different. But if it's really taking emotional energy from you, really root yourself in, why am I concerned? Why is this important to me? And at the end of the day, am I getting out of this experience what I want? If I'm not, then let me rethink what I'm doing.
Let's talk about rumors, because the rumor itself was brought up in the Philadelphia region where we're at, through WIP. I reached out to one of my friends over at WIP to talk about it when Jason Kelce kind of spilled the beans about everything. Handling rumors like that, and they are on such a much bigger stage, but when someone is involved with rumors, how do you handle that?
And it's so funny because I think, like, especially with with celebrities, it is important to remember, once again, parasocial relationships. I also think it's important to realize that for humans, for anyone, no matter even if they say, well, I don't really like gossip, I don't really like rumors, humans really like getting the tea. They like being in the know. It really allows for our brain to function, whether it's like, oh, I know and I'm in on it, so this is exciting to me, or even just knowing something that maybe you shouldn't know is exciting. But when it comes down to gossip or rumors on a smaller level, really thinking about, am I involved? Is this about me? Does it affect me? Is this a reliable source? Has the person that the rumor is about shown this behavior before? And what does this mean moving forward? Does this impact the relationship I have with this person? Does this mean that I have to have a conversation with this person? And that's more on that like smaller level. When we think about celebrities, a lot of those questions we can't answer because we've never met this person. We aren't going to be engaging with this person. But really thinking about, is this rumor something that this person has been known for in the past? Is it something that impacts my support of this person? And really realizing, like, there are some things that we hear about people that until it's confirmed, it is just a rumor. We don't know. And is it something that will impact your day-to-day life, that you need to be that invested in it? For Taylor, is Taylor Swift dating Travis Kelce? It's not impacting my life as much. Maybe for other folks it is. But I also think that we have to be mindful that these are people that are living their lives. So while we might have a big opinion about it, maybe they don't. We don't know what their conversation is about. We don't know what they want out of the relationship. We don't know if there is a relationship. All we can really base this off of is, oh, we can talk about it. We like being in the know. That's fun. But then when it transitions to, oh, I'm saying disparaging things about them, I really have to think about why. What am I doing? What am I getting out of that? Because then it transitions from, oh, this is just a rumor, to this is impacting my life, and we need to know what's going on there.
People taking those extra steps, because there were some outlets that went really derogatory and just like out of bounds, saying, well, I'm not going to believe it until there's a sex tape. Well, then you have some people, especially with those people being in the public eye, that may go to those lengths to try to get things like that and completely invade someone's privacy.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important. I think that, you'll see a lot of celebrities who are advocating for measures to be taken so that their privacy is ensured, whether that be stricter laws on, paparazzi, stricter laws when it comes to their children and making sure that they're not being recorded or that they're not being, targeted by paparazzi. I know in our last conversation, we talked about Harry and Meghan Markle, and they've been very big advocates for stricter paparazzi laws because of Princess Diana and their experience. So I think that that's where it all comes from. This idea of like, these people think that because these are celebrities that we have a right to know what's going on in their lives. And yes, there is some part of like, you're a celebrity, we're going to know a lot about your life. But in the age of social media and the fact that everything is recorded, can be recorded, is out there to be seen, people are living their lives, we really do have to think, what does that mean? Just because we know this person is a celebrity doesn't mean that we get to have every access to their life and every access to the relationship. I can believe that there are people who are casually dating that we know, and we don't know the intricacies of their relationships. For all we know, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are just casually dating, and we don't deserve and we don't have the right to know everything about that relationship. And I think it's dangerous to think that we can advocate for people to get the dirt or get the tea by any means necessary, just so that we have access to it. And so I think that that's why the advocacy has come up. And in my opinion, I do think that it's warranted. You wouldn't want everybody to know every intricacy of every relationship that you had. It should be down to the person to be able to share what they want to share, rather than what everybody feels they are entitled to.
Let's go on to her infamous writing of songs, and those ambiguous songs that may have been about this person or may not have been that person, with those relationships that are so publicly scrutinized, and what she has done in the past with those relationships. Should Travis be a little worried? Is that why he's playing it so safe, doing what he's doing?
Well, I believe that Mama Kelce raised a gentleman, so I don't think that there is anything to be concerned about. But I think that it does call into question, like, it goes back to somebody having a platform to be able to call out behavior, and I think that a lot of the lyrics have been able to do so. We all have these stories about people who have treated us poorly, and I'm sure that in relationships there are a lot of women who have been treated poorly. And just speaking from a man's perspective, I mean, society tells men a lot of things. Oh, you don't show your emotions, don't be invested, don't understand your emotions. So I'm sure that we've all treated women specifically poorly because we're not in touch with our emotions, we don't understand, we can't communicate them effectively. So I think that Taylor writing songs is really showing, like, yes, I've been hurt by people, and I haven't gotten the accountability from this person that maybe I was looking for. I mean, I'm sure that if there was an opportunity to, clear the air, a lot of the people who the songs are about have been able to clear the air, and now they're fine with each other. But I think that there is something to be said about having a platform to be able to share, this is happening for me, this has probably happened to you. And there's also the other side of, like, good things have happened in relationships, and she's able to write about that. So maybe we'll get a Kansas City Chiefs song on the next album that's exciting and all about the paparazzi and all about the buzz, rather than it having to be about something that's negative. And I think that she shows that we get something from all the relationships that we've been in. So whether it's positive, negative, or a little bit of both, I think that it shows that we're able to hold that, and that if we have a venue, creative venue to share about that, that we should take it. And we can't be responsible for how people respond. She hasn't named anybody. I think that people would disagree with that, because there is a song that is about somebody that is allegedly the song is about. But we can't control how somebody responds. So they might say, oh, the song's about me, how dare you? Okay. Can we have a conversation? Is this a time where you want to take accountability, or that we can have or we can talk? But if that's not willing to happen, I mean, we can't control how people respond to it. So even if she writes a song that's like, Travis Kelce did me dirty, I mean, that's a conversation for them. And there will need to be accountability, and we'll have to leave it there. But I do think that there's something therapeutic about being able to write down these experiences, and because it's oftentimes things that people have experienced, and they're listening to the song and they're getting some cathartic release from it.
let's talk about the Cinderella story that everybody is putting these two in and having those expectations of someone else when you come into a relationship.
Yeah, well, I think that it's the fact that you're seeing the excitement of a new something, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a business relationship, we don't know. I think that it's being captured as a Cinderella story because it's the excitement of something new. And I think that there is something good about that. I think that it highlights the fact that relationships can be exciting, relationships can be good. I think that it does go to a level that is a little bit, can be problematic, because I think people are negating and all of the bad, like the hard that comes with the relationships. We don't get to see those. We don't get to see the conversations. We don't get to see the frustration that comes with paparazzi. We don't get to see the conversations about, you know, after a game and you might be frustrated and you're hanging out with your partner and it's not all rainbows and sunshine. So I think that it's good to be able to celebrate the new and the exciting. I also think being mindful that there are going to be hard things that you're going to need to navigate with this person. And we don't get to see that between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, but in life, that's just a part of being in an intimate relationship with somebody. It's going to be good. It's going to be bad. It's going to be something in the middle. It's going to be uncomfortable. There are going to need to be conversations that need to happen. But there's nothing wrong with being excited at the beginning, or being in that honeymoon phase and just loving being with the person or loving the excitement of it, as long as you're grounded in the fact of, I also need to be ready for those times where we might have to have those serious conversations.
The business aspect of things, how this is changing some of how to act as a business individual and have that adult aspect with someone else, where you do need to either take accountability or you do need to have the conversation. You cannot just clam up and say, okay, I can't do this, when you bring in something into that business aspect.
Yeah, and I think that that's hard, because I think that when folks think hard conversation, when it comes to any relationship, it's seen as negative. It's never seen as growth. It's never seen as a positive, because you're only thinking about the feelings, or like, oh, this person's going to hate it, this person's going to be mad, whether that's in a romantic relationship, whether that's in a business relationship, when really communication is what brings health into any relationship. And I'm not saying you're allowed to say whatever you want to this other person, but really being mindful of, what do you want to communicate to that person? How am I going to communicate that? And leaving space for processing what you have to say and checking emotions. I think that a lot of times people go into these conversations and they're like, I don't feel anything, or I'm not scared, I'm not mad, I'm not whatever. I think that that's a disservice, because you're coming from a place of potentially being ruled by your emotions, rather than being somebody who is able to say, yeah, I'm really mad that my boss did this. And so I'm going into this conversation and having to be mindful that I am angry and it might impact the way that I have this conversation. Or, yeah, I'm really sad that my partner did this and it's going to impact the way that I'm able to come into this conversation. I think that in any conversation that you have, you do need to be mindful of that. But I think it's having those conversations, because it actually does infuse health, rather than feeling like, oh, I have to shy away or I can't talk about that, because it's going to ruin the relationship, ruin this honeymoon phase that we're in, or, get me into a position I don't want to be in. Oftentimes, the communication you need to have is what will help you in the situation, or help the dynamic of the relationship. So I think that that's something to be mindful of in any relationship you're in. What are the things that you should be talking about? How are you talking about it? And if you're not able to have the conversation, who do I need to look to support me being able to have this conversation? And I think that that's when a lot of my clients will come to me and say, hey, we're trying to navigate something. Can you help us? So if it's not, oh, I can't do this by myself, is there a close friend? Is there a colleague? Is HR somebody that you can look to? Is going to a therapist something that we can do? And I think it's so funny, because I think the other thing is that even in a business relationship, if there is the option for an HR mediation, or You know, there have been some people who have run businesses that do go to therapy together to talk it through. So knowing who do you need to be able to have some of these harder conversations, because you need to have them, and there needs to be accountability in the relationship. And that doesn't mean, oh, I take accountability for everything by saying everything I do is bad. It's what can I take accountability for, and what does that mean for us moving forward? Yes, I've done this thing wrong. What does that mean for us moving forward? I need to take accountability by changing my actions. So I think that that's all important, and all really comes out of just the media attention on relationships, specifically with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
We saw a very viral moment in Philadelphia itself with the Eras concert when Taylor Swift actually kind of stopped her concert to call out a security guard that was picking on some concert goers. Philadelphia itself is known for being a little aggressive also. So do you think the Swiftie Nation mentality of friendship bracelets and just having a good time is versus the little more aggressive behavior of Philadelphians, is that going to change things a little bit, do you think? And this whole phenomenon itself.
Yeah, and I think that we do have to be mindful that Philadelphia, we're a little tougher in this area, but I think that overall it really does show this idea of like people doing their jobs, because security is there to do a job, the artist is also there to do a job. And so I think that it's hard because there needs to be an opportunity for both of those people to collaborate, whether that's with the head of security collaborating with the artist, whatever it might be. Because if they're not on the same page, it's not going to work out. You'll then see other, concert venues who are like, oh, we accept friendship bracelets, bring them and trade them, and we just be mindful that you are being respectful. Versus those other places where it's like, don't do it, don't do this, don't do that, and it really just dampens the time. I think working with rather than like working against is something that's going to be important. But also being mindful that, there was another instance where Adele had to stop a concert because she didn't like that security was continuing to bother a fan. So, these things are going to continue to happen. I do think that with this artist being on the stage and having like a full picture view of what's going on, we do need to be mindful of that. Maybe what they're saying or what they're intervening for needs to be merited. Unless they're advocating that extremely dangerous behavior is allowed, they might know something that security who is on the ground might not see. As specifically for this instance, it seemed like Taylor Swift saw this person continuously going to this group of people, and she wasn't seeing anything wrong or wasn't seeing anything dangerous that was happening. So why was it happening? And once again, it goes back to calling out something that shouldn't be happening. Yes, the rowdy people. Yes, the people who are getting aggressive. Yes, the people who are not listening. That's fine. But also, we don't need to be jabbing people or, getting them to a point where they're frustrated and then they're getting kicked out. So I think that we have to be mindful of that. It's going to continue to happen, just like I said. So we just have to be mindful that there are going to be many different sides of the story. But ultimately, people are there to have fun and to do it safely. So as long as that's being followed, some of these other outlier issues, can just be something that we learn from.
Taylor Swift phenomenon. In 100 years, we see this, we'll go back 100 years and see, or 200 years or 500 years, and see all of these different eras and who the big names were and what was going on. What do you think is going to be talked about in 100 years from now about this Taylor Swift era?
I think it's going to be many different things to many different people. And just like we see for history now, it's labeled different things for different people. And I think that the biggest thing for history is like both good and bad. So I think that it's going to be this time of vibrant music and excitement and people all, getting together, and the concerts and the money and everything like that is going to be talked about. But also on the other side, it's going to be, well, why did she write the Reputation album? Why, what was being said about her? What were the tabloids saying? Like all of the negative is also going to need to be taken into consideration. Because I think that that's going to be the biggest thing. I think that there's a call that when we talk about history, it's both the good and the bad. It doesn't have to be this like Eras tour was perfect. Eras tour was this. It needs to be both and. So I think, and I hope in 100 years, it's we see the good, we see the investment people had, we see the way that it impacted society, and also we talk about the Scooter Braun situation. We talk about Taylor having to rewrite and re-record her songs. We talk about, you know, the negative press. We talk about the dynamic with her and Travis Kelce and how the tabloids like blew up about and like tried to air all of the business. I hope that it's both. We see the positive and the negative that came along with it, and that we learn from it, because I think that that's something that's going to be really important. I do think that out of this, you know, artists are going to pop up that say like, oh, I was a big fan and this impacted me and I was excited and I want to do something the same. And I'm excited to see what that comes. You know, hopefully I'll be around. Somebody did say that somebody who is alive right now will live to 150. I don't think it'll be me, but, you know, it would be fun to be able to talk in, you know, a few years to be able to say, yep, I was there. I was at the Eras tour and this is what you should know about it. So, yeah.
Let's talk, you just brought it up, the economic impact she's had. It's very, very big. From the NFL, it's raised their viewership. It's brought in, Aaron, who is the sideline reporter, was just talking about her sales went through the roof as soon as Taylor Swift was seen in her jacket. The economic impact in Philadelphia, they wrote a whole article about the Eras tour and how much money it brought to Philadelphia. There is a massive economic impact also with her following.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was reading something and it kind of likened like if the Eras tour came to your city, it was like the equivalent to or more than if the Super Bowl was hosted in your city. And that's happening for multiple different cities in the US. I also saw something that it was like the Eras tour is generating revenue and keeping us out of a recession. And I'm like, go Taylor. But then also you saw Justin Trudeau getting on media platform saying, Taylor, we want to see you in Canada, where we want to see you. And she's going to Canada because he saw, oh, this is big. This is something that's good. This could impact Canadian cities. Let's get her here. And she is. So I think that people, no matter how you feel about it, and once again, you might not like the songs, you might not like the glitz and the glam, but you do have to take into consideration that there is a financial aspect. If Taylor Swift comes to your city, you know, there might be a big incentive for financial revenue.
Basically, I think she is really helping everybody in every way. Right? I mean, we've seen her just within the last few weeks, or Sophie Turner was living in her house with this whole Jonas issue. The girl just seems to help everybody she touches.
Yeah, and I think that that's the thing. So I think that you're able to highlight all of the good, and you're able to see this person as like, wow, they're doing this, this, and this, and also realize that I'm sure that there have been things that she's done that hasn't been great. And there is this sense of we need to be accountable to the things that we do that aren't that great, and also we need to be mindful of, am I taking accountability for that? And how does my behavior show that I'm taking accountability for that? I think there have been times where, you know, Taylor Swift has been pitted against another female artist or whoever it might be. And it's then, oh, well, she didn't handle it well, or oh, she didn't do this. I think that now you're able to see that there is a behavior of, okay, maybe I could have handled that better. And I'm showing that by being kind to Sophie Turner, or I'm showing that by being kind to this person or inviting this person on stage or whatever it might be. Because it shows this idea of, yes, I've done bad things and I can take accountability by showing that my behavior has changed. And I think that it trickles down into us as people, us in our relationships. We can take accountability for the things that we do, and we can take accountability for the good things, and we can take accountability for the bad things, and be mindful that our behavior is also needing to change. That if we, you know, people still say like, oh, Taylor Swift is this, this, and this, and she's a love drunk girl who just writes about her exes. And they still see her as a 16-year-old writing songs. They need to be mindful that she's now 33. She's lived life. Her experiences are informing her songs. And the same as for anybody, for ourselves, for the clients that I see in individual therapy, we talk about how you've lived lives. You're not the same person that you used to be. in relationships. You've lived, you've been together. You're not the same people you were when you first started dating, when you first met each other. And so that needs to be taken into consideration. And I think that it shows this idea of, I don't have to stay the same person. Taylor isn't still 16 years old writing about, high school boys that broke her heart. She's talking about some pretty severe things, and she's able to back it up with, not only am I writing about it, but I'm advocating for it. And I'm also showing that I'm there to support all people. No matter who it is, my behavior is proving that I'm able to support people and not necessarily have to be somebody who is constantly in a fight with somebody.
Let's talk about one of the big fights she did have very publicly with Kanye West on stage at the MTV Music Awards. She won an award and Kanye West came up, and there was that whole public aspect of everything. And then it rolled into, in later years, Kanye wrote a song about her in some way. And, she said it was blatant lies and had to take legal action, I believe, with Kim Kardashian getting involved with it too. And now we see, as everything has panned out over the years, Kanye is off doing his own thing, which kind of is his own thing. But now Taylor is having this huge resurgence of being this person.
And I think that shows just like how rumors and gossip and like we will never know the full story works, because there are still some people who are like, I don't like Taylor because she did that to Kanye, or she like tried to make him look to be a liar. Once again, no matter how you feel about Kanye West or Taylor Swift, they are making more money than we will ever see. They are living their lives. They have families, they have relationships, whatever it is. If you're still stuck in, oh, this has happened, so therefore I don't like this person, really being thinking of what is this about? What am I getting from this? Because is this affecting your life? And if it's not, really think about what's going on here. Because with the whole Kanye and Taylor Swift situation, we'll never know. We'll never know the full story. We can definitely make inferences. We can definitely have our opinions, and that's fine. But when it transitions to, I then will not listen to this person because this happened X amount of years ago. For me personally, there have been recent things that have not made me an advocate for Kanye West. But it doesn't come down to, well, he was mean to Taylor years ago. No. It's been more recent things that have made me not want to advocate for him. But once again, if I'm stuck many years ago, maybe it's time to say, let me think about this. Let me see how this person's actions have changed, or if they have changed. And if not, then great, I don't have to continue on. But if they have, let me be a little bit more curious. And I think that pulls in that curiosity piece of like, we need to be a little bit more curious as people. What is this person doing now? How have they changed over the years? Because that's interesting to know.
Let's talk about that, and holding grudges with people and keeping, taking something that happened in the past and how you can bring that into your own relationship and move past things.
Yeah. Because I think that we see it a lot, especially with family. And I want to caveat here of like, me saying like, oh, don't hold a grudge is not ever saying to somebody who realizes that the family is toxic or that the relationship is toxic, saying like, oh, you should give them another chance. Absolutely not. Because I think that it really comes down to, one, what has this person done? Two, has there been accountability? Has there been a conversation? Are they willing to take ownership? Is there something that we can talk about that will allow this to happen? And also, is this somebody that I'm missing from my life? Because if you're holding somebody, and maybe it's not a grudge, maybe it's the fact of, I just don't need this person in my life. Our relationship has run its course. I don't need them in my life. But maybe there is somebody that you're missing. Maybe there is somebody that you want to have a relationship with, but there was something that happened years ago. Is it time for me to rethink, or is it time for me to reach out to this person and have that conversation? And if I don't, what will I be missing out on? Because I think that it really is calling out, is there something that is missing from my life? Is there something in my control of like having the conversation or reconnecting with this person that feels good to me? And am I looking for accountability? And how do I communicate that to this person of, hey, I really want you to be in my life. I'm still hurt because of X, Y, and Z. can we have a conversation about this? And once again, it then comes into, am I able to do this by myself? Or do I need a therapist to assist? Is there somebody else in the family that is there to be support? Finding somebody who is able to support you in getting what you need. And then there are going to be those people who, I have a grudge against. I don't want them in my life. I have a lot of hurt feelings, and I'm not ready to let go of those. I think that is something that everyone has to navigate. And is that okay for you? Is that sustainable? If it is, yes, I'm fine with holding this grudge and I don't want to change anything. Okay, that's where you are. Nobody can force you to get over a grudge or to let feelings go. It really does have to be on your time. And no matter how much you tell somebody, but they're your parent, they're your sibling, they're your friend, whatever, it's not going to get them to the point of being able to have that conversation. So just being mindful of, am I getting out of this what I want to? Am I missing out on this relationship? Am I missing this relationship? Is this something that we can work on? And also knowing the relationship is over, I can grieve the loss of the relationship. And also, I don't have to just have this relationship in my life just because I should.
The issue of moving past when things get a little too hard and there are names thrown and even making assessments that may or may not be true with family members. Where can people get a hold of you to talk to you if they need counseling or a therapist to step in? Yeah,
so you can reach me at Counsel for Relationships, www.counselforrelationships.org. I'm also on Instagram as MFT Foodie. Reach out to me. I would love to have conversations and even if it isn't me, maybe I'm not a good fit, or maybe, you're looking for something else. I do love giving referrals. I do love making recommendations to folks, because ultimately this time is for you and for your family or for, your partner, whoever you're coming in with. So if it's not me, I would love to put you in the right direction of somebody who could really help you.
Well, the Counsel for Relationships, you guys have how many therapists now?
It always changes. I think we're close to, in the range of 50 to 65, I think, maybe. And then we have 70 student interns that are really great at providing therapy, especially for folks who, finances are an issue of why they don't go to therapy. So we definitely have somebody for everyone. So definitely should reach out.
Now, do you guys deal with just the familial relationships or also business relationships?
There are folks that we work with that do like some business relationships. Folks that own businesses together, or like with different colleagues that have had to come and learn how to kind of communicate and connect. And that's really cool to see, because I think that people are like, oh, well, we're not in a romantic relationship. No, but you're in a relationship. So what does it look like to identify the barriers? How do you work together to collaborate? How are you communicating that's not effective versus ways that are effective? It's really cool to be able to do that work with people who aren't in a romantic relationship, but are more colleagues, because we then see us communicating better or engaging more effectively allows our business to grow in a different way that maybe it wouldn't have happened had we not had this third person involved in teaching us skills to get along better.
Alan, it's always so much fun having you, and it's so nice to talk with somebody who can bring a little bit of positivity to a conversation also when things are, especially in this world right now, everything is so negative and heated and just going to fight phase.
Well, yeah, it's definitely fun to have the conversation. I did want to also say it's October 27th that 1989 Taylor's version is coming out. I looked
you got it now.
Yeah.
All right.
I was like, oh, I have it as a tab. Let me look at the tab. I got it for you.
I love it. Alan, thank you so much for being here. I am Tatiana Ryann. This is Alan Lewis from the Council of Relationships in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Have a great day, everybody.